Hi, I'm Dave Worsley, and you're watching PHTV4, and we are at Richard's Bicycle Store in Palos Heights talking with Rich. And I know Rich is going to seem maybe like an odd interview because we have snow coming today. It's still very cold out. We got a lot of cold weather coming. But we want to talk about bike maintenance. And I know specifically, I'm going to give you a chance to speak to this. I know you guys run a special in February, half off on tune-ups, I believe.
Yes.
Right. So why tune-ups? Why should people be bringing their bikes in for a tune-up now as compared to like later on in the year?
Two reasons. One is the time that it'll take to get it done, because once the winter is broke and the weather is better, what's going to happen is we're going to go from being a couple days out to get it back to you to very possibly a week to 2 weeks. So time is one of the things, and then obviously the other thing, like you had mentioned, we do have a great deal going right now on it. They are half off, which is a great value, and then like I say, the time element would be the other reason for doing it. So
okay, so. That's going to kind of take me into the next question then. So the timing is right in terms of they get a good deal and they'll get quicker turnaround on the bike, right? The second part would be, all right, well, my bike sat in the garage. Why do I even need to get a tune-up, period? I rode it maybe in October or November if I had a decent day. Why do I need a tune-up going into this year? Can't I just pick it up and start riding it again?
First and foremost, I would tell you to take it out, air up the tires, go for a ride. If everything's good, go ahead with it. Generally it's one of those things when the bike does sit during the wintertime, there's a few things that can get, I'll say, messed up on it, but it's very minimal. I would make the suggestion, air up the tires, take it for a ride and see. If you haven't ridden it since September, October, and it's just been hanging in the ceiling in the garage, chances are it might be fine. It's just one of those situations where a lot of times people, they maybe used it very minimal the past summer, and now all of a sudden they want to start riding again, so the bike's relatively been sitting for a while. So again, it's just kind of one of those things. Pull the bike down from the ceiling, air up the tires, take it for a ride. If the gears feel good, the brakes feel good, tires are holding air, roll with it.
Okay. Now that you're making me think about one other piece in that puzzle, and that's the chain. And I do wonder about the chain sitting there, whether it collects dust or grit and how that might affect it. Maybe it needs to get clean. The other thing is, all right, well, maybe I rode it, let's say I rode it a lot last year. Maybe I put a couple thousand miles on it, and then it's sad. Is it ready, waiting for a tune-up again into this year?
In a case like that where you've put a lot of miles on it, then I would recommend definitely bring it in. One of the things is, as you said, and I don't mean to use this as a funny phrase, but the chain is one of the weak links, and it's because it is basically exposed to the elements. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't keep it lubricated, and it does wear out faster. Problem when that wears out, it wears out the cassette, which is the gears on the back, and it can even wear out the gears in the front. When that happens, it gets more expensive to fix. Putting a new chain on could be a $20 to $30 chain, not necessarily a big deal, but when you start incorporating the rear freewheel or cassette and the gears in the front, you could easily be looking at $100 worth of parts, if not even more. So again, the lubrication on chain is very important, and kind of just reflecting back a little bit, as I said, when you took the bike out, if it's been sitting and you took it for a ride, one of the things you do want to do is at least get some lubricant on the chain. So even if you don't come in with a tune-up, get some lube on the chain. That's very important.
Okay. All right, so good tips there about getting that bike ready, and good cautionary tale about avoiding the bigger expense. Take care of the other expenses right now. All right, so if somebody brings it in, like what is a basic tune-up typically? What does that mean you're doing?
Generally, basic tune-up is going to go through your gears, your brakes. We true the wheels. We make sure that the bearings are properly adjusted. Wipe the bike down, and then lubricate everything as well at that point. So just get it ready for the springtime.
Okay. And then I think we've covered them. Are there any other types of maintenance we should be mindful of with the bike? It sounds like you hit them all, but just in case.
First and foremost, the things that you should do as a rider: one, like I said earlier, the chain, keep it lubricated. Two, keep your tires inflated. One of the big problems that we have is people will go out and ride their bikes with low pressure in their tires. They end up hitting a curb, pothole, something like that, and it ends up damaging the rims. The other thing is when you keep your tires up to the right pressure, it's actually less rolling resistance for you, so it means less effort for you to ride the bike.
Easier ride.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. And then let me, I want to, only because I was going for a walk the other day and I've still seen people on the trail, who've been riding their bikes through the winter, and I will too if the weather gets mild, but I've seen more of that, whether it's on the Forest Reserve trails or the bike paths, sometimes even if we have a little bit of snow. What about the wear and tear on a winter ride, a bike being used through the winter? Do they need the bike maintenance, and when do they bring that in? What's that like? How is it different than a regular bike?
That's one that I would say is definitely a reason to bring the bike in and get it tuned up. When you ride through the winter season and stuff, you have to remember you got salt on the roads. May not necessarily be salt on the trails, but it does end up getting picked up onto it and stuff. So now you're getting salt onto the chain, you're getting salt on the bike and stuff. And again, when it is wintertime, it's very hard to clean the bike and all, simply because of temperatures. You're not going to be out hosing the bike down because it's so cold in that. So with someone who rides during the wintertime, my suggestion would be absolutely get that bike in for a tune-up. If you don't hit our special in February, get it in March, April probably at the very latest, so you're ready to go for the summer and that. And again, like I say, it's just simply the weather tends to create more problems with the bike. Salt, more moisture in the air, snow, things like that. Cold doesn't necessarily have a big effect on the bikes, but it's more what's out there in regards to the water, salt, things like that.
Okay. So the extreme weather can have that type of impact. I mean, other impacts that we don't necessarily experience in the summer in addition. Okay. And then are there any other, I want to also address that. We talked about maintaining the bike. Any other equipment things people should be looking for, whether for themselves personally to wear in their body or to make part of their bike as they head into the next bike season?
Again, visibility is a big push right now in the bike industry. One, lights. Even during the day, it's a good idea to have lights on. A lot of times, riding during the day, you want to use like a strobe light, and it's just simply so it catches the eye of a driver, someone in a car and again, less likely to have an issue with it. The other things too for you as the rider would be visibility, meaning more or less like yellow clothing, yellow helmet, things like that. Anything that can make you more visible to the cars, simply so you just don't have a problem with them. So that would be one of the things. Aside from that, I mean, we offer tons of different accessories and things like that. But again, it's just really a matter of what you want on the bike. But again, the visibility idea is a really good thing to consider. Everybody tries to ride on the trails, which is wonderful, but occasionally you do have to go onto the street. You might have to go onto the sidewalk. And again, if you can be more visible, it's less likely you're going to have an issue with a car or that. So.
All right, excellent safety tip. I mean, obviously, in addition to the other accessories you're talking about, whether helmets or gloves or visible clothing, definitely the light, or tail light, a front light, the strobe. Yeah, make yourself seen, help the drivers out, help yourself out.
Certainly.
Okay. Rich, thank you very much. A lot of good tips in there, and also good advice on maintaining that bike for a good ride and the longevity of it. So thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
I'm Dave Wurzel. You've been watching PHTV4. We've been talking with Rich at Richard's Bikes, getting ready for the spring season, summer season of 2025 bike riding. Thank you for watching.